Don't fall for it. It's all the personas.
人が中に人がいた。助けを求めてる。違う。化け物。お
兄ちゃん。遊ぼう。
No, don't do this. Oh. Wow. Hold on. Oh, okay.
こいつなんかでかい鎧が連れて歩いてたな。
鎧。もしや昨日の。照明をさらうなんて。鬼、悪魔、正しい。
That was quick. Oh.
待て。
ちょっと待って。
不死身に近い再生力を持っている。迂闊に手出しはできん。
不死身。願ってもない。追いかけましょう。
なぜあの二人が一緒に。
Yeah, it is quite the odd pairing, isn't it?
どうした？
Oh.
ここ変です。この国に入ってからずっと違和感があったのです。
She can sense it as well, of course. All the people from Shin.
橋の下をたくさんの何かが這いずり回っている。
Yeah, a lot of things. A lot of souls.
なんだよこれ。
I ate them.
門番の仕業だよ。
門番。
Oh.
俺といれば殺されないよ。
Let's have a look. Oh, chimeras.
お父様何でも知ってる。
Reunion.
兄さん。
Though usually it's applicable to many different parties. All these lost souls. Oh, is that the... It's gotta be Philosopher's Stone.
赤い。あれだけ探したのに。こんなところにあるなんて。
Yeah. No. Holy shit.
やだ。やっぱり下に何かいます。
キメラか。
違います。
Oh, man.
これは人。
お父様みんな作ってもらった。
It's almost as if he's got a friend.
エビも。
A friend in Al.
何やら想像し。誰か来るな。
Oh my god.
私は親の名も顔も自身の名前すら覚えていない。いや、名を付けられる前に捨てられたか売られたか。
Bradley?
大総統候補、我々はそう呼ばれた。
Oh.
そして一箇所に集められ、さまざまな教育を受けた。帝王学、人間学から軍隊格闘、射撃、剣術に至
Okay,
る
yeah, it's
まで。
adding up. It's adding up. Hey, look at this young stud.
Wow. このものもダメでした。次だ。
Just like that, eh?
楽にしていたまえ。すぐに終わる。
何をする気ですか。あの死体は。
12人目か。我が憤怒を受け入れるのは君か。
賢者の石は多くの人間の魂が含まれた高エネルギー体だ。人間の体へ入ると拒絶反応で暴れ回る肉体を乗っ取ろうとする。石による破壊と補修は元の体が死ぬか賢者の石に打ち勝つまで繰り返された。
君の名は今日からキングブラッドレイ。
残ったのはたった一つの魂と本土の
Ah.
感情のみ。この魂が賢者の石にされた誰かのものなのか、
Or
もともとの己のものなのかもうわからんのだ。人間に戻れと？無理だな。この体は人間を超越した。はるかに優れた品種だ。君たち人間が人間であることに誇りを持っているように、
proud of being.
我々にもホムンクルスとしてのプライドがある。あの女もそのプライドを持って死んでいっただろう。
この辺にあるのは全部集めたよ。
これみんなクセル
Yeah, I was gonna say the missing pieces.
遺跡の神殿にあった大壁画の一部だ。
There's a lot of history in here from different eras.
つまりあそこに描かれていたのは人体錬成の陣だ。
人体錬成ってことは死者を蘇らせるための。
いや、錬金術の原則は10日交換だ。この世に存在しない魂を錬成によって生み出すことはできない。そのことは確かめた。
Oh yeah.
生きている人間を俺が俺を錬成し直すってのはどうだ。
錬成し直す。
これも人体錬成だ。きっと扉が開く。
Whoa,
グラトニアが
man.
偽りの真理の扉だと言うなら、正しい扉をくぐれば正しい空間に出られるんじゃないだろうか。
失敗したらどうなる？
リバウンドだ。術の失敗は行使したものに全て跳
Oh
ね
man,
返る。
Ed,
この
careful,
場合は
careful.
俺にな。神を地に落とし、自らが完全な存在となるって意味だ。
大それたことを考えるものだな。
考えただけならいい。問題は欠けていたこの部分だ。太陽を飲み込む獅子の図。これは賢者の石を示す。あれほど栄えたクセルクセスの国が
Here it comes, here it comes. Go on then.
国
Tell
民の
us.
行方は、ここに遺跡の一部があるのは証拠隠滅のためじゃないのか。お前らクセルクセス国民全員賢者の石にしちまったな。
Oh my god. Ha! From the opening. First opening.
自身を錬成したのは誰だ。国民全員を賢者の石にしてその強大な力を手に入れ神をも超える存在になろうとしたのは誰だ。お前の言うお父様か。
Yeah. It's gotta be right.
お前らホムンクルスを使ってこの国でクセルクセス滅亡の再現をやろうとしてるんじゃないのか。
扉を開けるとなれば必要なのは通行料だろう。
Whoa.
使えよ。
This is some episode, folks.
みんなクセルクセスの人たちなんだな。
肉体も精神も遠の昔に朽ち果てて魂だけの弟を人間と認めたいから似たようなこいつらを人間と思いたいだけだ。大昔に滅んだ木がかわいそうだからって石炭を火にくべるのをためらうのか。
Wow.
こいつらはもう人間には戻れない。感情じゃなくて理屈で人間の定義に線を引けよ。錬金術
Wow.
師。
How about that for a lesson?
俺にもしものことがあったらこの連中の企みを外の奴らに伝えてくれ。
アメストレスがどうなろうと俺の知ったことじゃない。
お前の
Of course, he's just
お前
kidding.
を待ってる大事な人たちがいる国だろ。生きてここから出て自分で伝えろよ。
He said the same thing to Ling. Something similar, right?
すみません。使わせてもらい
Oh
ます。
wow.
あの手を合わせるポーズ何かに似てると思ったらまるで神への祈りじゃないか。
Indeed.
久しぶりだな。
Huh.
こんな形でまた開けることになるなんて。
Yeah. Wow.
グラトニーに飲まれた時と同じ。
Oh my god.
ありがとう。ありがとう。肉体と魂は精神によってつながっている。俺の肉体の一部は真理の扉の前にある。精神の導くまま全てを委ねて扉。
Oh, hello, old friend.
なんで扉が2つあるんだ
It's Ed. Right? Ow! Whoa! I didn't realize.
ダメだよ。君は僕の魂じゃない。一緒に行けない。
Wow. Oh! I'll come back for you.
いつか必ず迎えに来るぞ待ってろ
Wow. Wow. Yes. Yeah, listen, man. I've got to do it. I've got to do it again. I've got to say it again. That's one of the best episodes of the series, right? That's an amazing episode. Top to bottom, it feels like a significant episode. It feels like a defining moment for the series, for the narrative, for the story, for some of the characters, especially Ed. I mean, it is one of the biggest defining moments for Ed, right? That scene at the end. That scene at the end is... I'm sure that scene might actually be the best scene or best moment for many of you. I'm sure. I can see that. I can totally see that. In fact, I can see this episode being many people's favorite episode of the series as well. It really feels like it was that impactful, that important to the entire story and to characters like Ed, the driving force, if you may, of this story, right? I mean, the depiction at the end there of him fighting against these supernatural entities, right? Those little arms, I'm not even sure how to classify them, but you know, him making sure at that moment in time, he wanted to make sure that he can reassure his brother that he's going to come back for him, right? That is an all-timer moment. I think that's an all-timer moment for anime. And not just that moment as well. I mean, it's a brilliant moment, him breaking through. And listen, I'm not sure how practical it is in terms of the mechanics of that place. Him somehow actually fighting through and, you know, punching through the door. And of course, you know, they made it a point to kind of close the doors. And then that one term that's essentially kind of right in the middle and he breaks through it. So, you know, I'll have to kind of look that up. Unless, of course, yeah, maybe you guys can translate that for me. Right? Put it in the comments once this goes up on Patreon. I feel like that scene, that moment right there, really takes 25 episodes, 26 episodes, and encapsulates Ed, the things he's able to accomplish, the things he's able to put into motion if he puts his mind to it. It feels like he can do anything if he puts his mind to it, right? And I mean, it's how impressive is Ed? You know, of course, the whole build up to getting here in the first place, that is just so juicy. I mean, you know, for lack of a better term, right at this moment, it is so juicy. You know, the things coming out of that build up. And I love how a character in the show, in the story, Ed, is also kind of theory crafting, much like us, the audience, you know, and he gets to the bottom of it, right? And through Ed, it gives us, or you know, through his correct hypotheses, it gives us a clear picture of how things go down in Xerxes. And listen, you know, envy is made up of all the souls, all the life that was taken from Xerxes overnight. So that's kind of crazy, isn't it? All of that just for envy. unless I'm kind of misunderstanding that component of it. But you know, it looks like all of that life goes into this Philosopher's Stone, and it's a part of the sin, right? These are lost souls. It's like this purgatory for them because they're not technically dead, yet they're not able to live either. And you know, it's not a pleasant thing to be a part of. You know, they are in agony. Many of them are. You know, many of them are quite unhinged. Those lost souls, those trapped souls, have kind of I don't know, gone crazy. It's been like centuries at this point, right? So you know, in that sense, is envy the first sin? If not the first sin, you know, they have to be one of the first, surely, right? And then, you know, building on that, and this is the reason I was calling this whole segment so juicy and full of information for me to kind of pick at and extract. I think I have a really, you know, strong standing now in terms of my understanding of the Eastern and the Western Sage. The Eastern Sage is not Hohenheim. The Eastern Sage is Father. And then, of course, earlier, you know, the robes through King Bradley's flashback, Jesus, right? I mean, I'll get to that. But essentially, to me, it felt like a reminder to the audience, you know, his clothing, his attire, the robes that are, you know, really quite specifically depicted in that great episode as Ed and some of the Jing crew and Armstrong go through Xerxes, right? But yeah, I think it's right there now. The Eastern Sage is Father. And, you know, after this overnight calamity that he put into motion, and out of it came envy, he clearly travels to East. And then, of course, he digs in. You know, his claws, his hands are all over that country. They are the foundation of the country. They are the infrastructure of the country, right? This father figure, the sins. And listen, it's still possible that I'm on the wrong track, and maybe that is Hohenheim, right? Maybe a Jekyll and Hyde type possibility as well, you know, that I didn't really explore yet. Yes, you know, until I have a confirmation, I can't say for sure. But, you know, this kind of takes me to the next point, right? The Eastern and the Western Sage. I think Hohenheim is the Western Sage. You know, I had it flipped. I thought, you know, again, you know, the depiction and the likeness really threw me off. But yeah, if that's Father in the East as the Eastern Sage, I think the other one, the legend in Jing, that must have been Hohenheim then. And if that's the case, that is just so cool. That is just so incredible and so exciting in terms of any potential backstories and flashbacks. I'm sure I'll get it. And once I do get it, I know it's going to be some of the most exciting parts of this story, of this anime. I'm so ready for that. I'm so ready. And of course, if that is the case, and Hohenheim is their legend, right? The sage in Jing, it opens up the possibilities of all these bonds and connections. Let's take it back to the conclusion, right? Ed finally coming back here and seeing two doors, right? Of course, there is a connection there, right? Ed and Al's doors being connected. And ultimately, I think maybe it was episode 21, 22, you know, his hypotheses about the connection, right? Their spirits being intertwined, you know, getting mixed up. He was spot on from the looks of it, right? Now he gets tangible confirmation on that. And he was right, you know, the body's there. And getting to lay eyes on that body, right? On Al's body, yes, it's not in the best shape. It's actually in quite a rough shape. And maybe that's one of the reasons I didn't really clock it being Al at first. I mean, my take on that was immediately going to Ed. I thought maybe it's like a trick, some kind of mind games that Truth is playing, you know, because I was really expecting a run-in with Truth, the Truth. But no, it was just like a quick appearance, right? And I see it kind of just chilling there. You know, it's got Ed's arm and leg. But yeah, you know, I started thinking about the mind games that might be at play at this point or something. You know, I even had thoughts of, oh, is this, I don't know, is this like a glimpse into the future? You know, did something happen and Ed's body actually got trapped in here? But no, yeah, it was Al. And listen, you know, the last time I saw Al in his human form, he has short hair. He did not look like this. You know, to me, that really just looked like Ed, right? That's my first thought on that. But then, you know, the moment he screams his name out, I was like, oh shit, that's right. his body had to be in here, right? And then it kind of all clicks. But yeah, it appears that he was spot on. He is eating and sleeping for both himself and Al's body in here. And it appears that if that wasn't the case, that body must have expired, or it should have been expired by now. But in terms of the body itself, I suppose the whole concept of mind, soul, and body, right? That's a big component of this episode. It really is. So there's certainly some explanations there for sure, but there's also the other angle to this. The truth took Al's body, the entire body. I mean, in that scene, the truth kind of had this devilish, almost menacing smile as it's collecting its toll, and that is the entire body of Alphonse Elric. So maybe that is the truth in that form, right? But it feels so out of character for the truth to be responding in that manner, right? The response, even though there's not much emotion there, until the end. Right at the end, there's this painful smile almost, right? Hope, a glimmer of hope as the brother fights against all the odds, comes back in, punches through, just to reassure Al or Al's body that he'll come back. One of these days I'm gonna come back and get you. But once I do realize that it's Al, I mean, that hit me hard. That really hits you. It hits you, seeing that body, because much like Ed, us, the audience, is seeing this body for the first time in a long time, right? And it's in a sad state. I mean, I was getting all misty-eyed and choked up just looking at it, just looking at the state of the body, of Al's body. But the exciting part of this is that he's laid eyes on the body. It's there, it's tangible. The end goal is there, right? It's doable, it's achievable. And that is going to provide Ed, and then of course an extension to Ed, Al, once they meet up. Oh my goodness. I'm just thinking of the next time they meet up and Ed gets a chance to talk about this. Oh, that's going to be such an incredible moment to see Alphonse's reaction to this. But yeah, it's really about to give Ed this new driving force. And listen, they already show us the immediate impact it had on Ed, right? Yeah, fighting against the odds, making it back in there, punching through. But of course, that is quite the contrast to some of the earlier moments inside Gluttony's stomach realm, right? Because once those lost souls, those trapped souls start coming out, our boy Ed kind of lands himself in a funk. And I think it was fine. I think that was perfectly in line with the character that is Ed. If he didn't have that reaction, it would have been a bit off, So yes, even though it's tough to see him almost give up, I mean, not almost, he does kind of give up momentarily, he lets himself be swallowed, and then inside he's kind of, he's just like this lifeless figure, until of course, that beautiful moment is the red light emanating from the Philosopher's Stone, and the presentation of that scene. Whew. And that one frame, that one shot of Ed's hand reaching out to it. But yeah, certainly a sobering moment to see Ed in that state, isn't it? And once again, Nina, the memory of Nina, it's essentially his PTSD that Ed carries at all times. He wasn't there in Ishval, but he has his own share of trauma at this young age. So yeah, it's understandable that he had that type of reaction to seeing these souls of the people from Xerxes, the entire population essentially given to that Philosopher's Stone. But ultimately he actually shows mercy. He actually sets them free, sets them loose from this hell of theirs, right? That there's that really poignant moment as one of them disappears, finally gets to move on, and is really quite thankful to Ed for facilitating this. So it's a powerful moment, and of course it's really a challenging and difficult thing for Ed to admit or acknowledge that these souls are too far gone. As Envy noted and reminded him, it's probably because of his brother's situation, and it is, right? And speaking of Envy, this might be them at their most insightful and most helpful, right? Momentarily at least, in terms of kind of giving Ed that push that he needs in that moment. And then of course on the other end of that you have Ling, whose resolve is rock solid down there. He's there for Ed. And I love how he's kind of doing his part and kind of returning the favor, right? Kind of trying to motivate him to get out of here and do all of those things on his own, much like how he told Ling, no, there's people out there that rely on you, that need you, get out there yourself. So, that brotherhood that's forming there, it's beautiful as well. And then of course I get a much more clear indication of the motives of Father, right? The ultimate goal of Father. Listen, I'll be honest, it feels a little bit generic at the moment, right? But it's still early days. I need to kind of get it from the source, from Father himself or itself, right? I'm sure I'll get that at some point. I mean, essentially, it's a good old case of, striving to dethrone God or that God figure. I'll strike down God to earth and become the perfect being. But yeah, in terms of exciting setup, Gluttony and Alphonse have reached that chamber from the looks of it. Well, listen, imagine he opens that door and it is Hohenheim standing in there in that, really familiar outfit and the glasses. I mean, it's incredibly exciting setup. It's quite the cliffhanger, that's for sure. But let's shift the focus to the other sin, the hybrid, King Bradley. Look at this. If King Bradley wasn't already one of the most fascinating characters of the entire story of the anime, he becomes even more so after this. After this, it's just like, come on, man. The hybrid. So there's just the one soul, right? There's actual confirmation for that. There's just the one soul. And the really cool thing is, even though King Bradley might not know for sure, as he is speaking with Mustang, and I must say it's surprising how forthcoming he is about all of this, right? So maybe there's something there as well in terms of motives, plans for Mustang. But yeah, it all adds up, doesn't it? The reason he wasn't given off the same type of chi as Gluttony, right? Because, and I believe I was on the right track, I think I might have brought this point up, this potential possibility up. That might be because he's got the buildup of a normal person in the sense that it's just the one soul, right? So they didn't sense anything that was out of the ordinary for King Bradley, of course. But he's not ordinary, is he? He is a specimen. He is essentially a super soldier. But the really cool possibility here is the fact that it's possible that the last soul, the one he has in him at the moment, it might actually be his own original soul, right? And I say that because he remembers his life, most of it, in detail, right? It's almost as if his own soul fought off the rest. And the whole aging aspect makes perfect sense now, doesn't it? They couldn't put someone, or they couldn't put a normal homunculus in that position, right? Because it becomes too suspicious from the outside, right? Look, this person doesn't change. It's been 60 years, he looks the same, right? So, of course, his human side plays that part, right? He ages, and essentially, he can die like a normal human. It's easier said than done, isn't it? Right? Yeah, you can lay the concept out that, yeah, since he has the one soul, since he ages, yes, you can kill him like a normal human. But the killing part of that, that's the bridge. That's a tough bridge to cross, right? Because, yeah, no one's just about to kill him anytime soon, right? Any potential King Bradley death, I'm sure it's going to be quite the amazing scene if it does go down like that. And King Bradley, I've got to say, I'm still not 100% sold on him being 100% loyal to Father and his plans. I think there's still a possibility that, he might deviate at some point. And again, it makes sense. I had a whole portion a few episodes ago about the duality of King Bradley and the humanity of King Bradley. And it makes sense, right? He is human up until this point, until I got this revelation. I just assumed that, Father kind of perfected over the years, over hundreds of years, he perfected some new form of sin, or the creation of a new form of sin, the one that can kind of mimic the aging process of a human. Hold up, actually, am I getting that mixed up? No, I think I have it right, because the Philosopher's Stone injected in its liquid form had hundreds and hundreds of souls in it, right? So it wasn't really by design. So I guess I have to take that back. And by that I mean, Father wasn't trying to make this sin with just the one soul. It begins with hundreds of souls in that stone, and it comes down to one. And again, it potentially could be his own soul that kind of beats out the rest. I mean, King Bradley in his younger days is really quite impressive. And you see, even back then, the drive, the determination, the vision that he had. And he was so dialed in to this idea of becoming the ruler of this nation that he is going to be the perfect candidate. Though he came in as the 12th, right? He was the 12th person that was going to be experimented on in terms of getting injected, right? And how, the disregard for human life there, bodies tossed aside, right? Oh, okay, yeah, this one couldn't handle it. All right, toss it, bring in the next one. And there's also a great parallel there because Ling is the 12th son, right, of the emperor, something 12th. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, King Bradley, he really is one of my favorites of the anime, of the story. Going right back to the conclusion, once again, it was such a great moment to see Ed return to that place, right? He's got a lot of terrible memories of that place, but you can notice the maturity of Ed in that moment, coming back to it and having more of a level-headed approach to that, right? Yes, it's quite a jarring experience for him, seeing his brother's body there in that state as well, right? But yeah, I loved it. I remember saying back in episode 2, in the discussion for episode 2, I really hope he gets to come back. And, this might not be the last time. It might not be the last time either. But yeah, that's about it for this episode, folks. I'm definitely going to go check that out again. Up next is 27. But I think before episode 28, I'll definitely check that out. But yeah, if you enjoyed this, consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments, give me your thoughts. If you're interested in early access or full length, and there is multiple episodes of early access at this point, and it is going to be reaching up to 3 episodes of early access by the time this is out. Yeah, by the time this is out on YouTube, there should be 3 episodes of early access. So, but if you are interested, check out the links in the description, in the pinned comment, also links to social media. But yeah, thank you for joining me, and thank you for your time. This time is precious, and I really do appreciate it. And I do hope to see you again soon for the next one. Until then, take it easy.